Hey, I got a complaint about you two.
Complaint?
Someone reported you've been lingering here too long, making families uncomfortable.
My son isn't doing anything wrong. He's just
This
playing.
isn't a place for you. You should wrap it up and leave.
Dad, I don't want to leave.
You don't belong here.
A father and his 7-year-old son are spending a quiet afternoon at a public park. The boy is playing near the swings and running around like any other kid, laughing, climbing, enjoying the playground. His dad sits nearby on a bench watching him. Just a normal moment between a father and his child. Then a police cruiser pulls up. A cop steps out and walks toward them. Serious, suspicious. He says he received a complaint. Someone reported that the boy has been staying here too long and is making other families and kids uncomfortable. The father looks confused. My son isn't doing anything wrong. He's just playing. But the officer keeps talking. This isn't really a place for him to linger. You should probably wrap it up and leave. The father asks why. The officer shrugs. There are other places you people can go to? Maybe KFC? Then he looks directly at the child. You don't belong here. The entire park goes quiet. Parents nearby start watching. Phones begin recording. Because everyone can feel it. This isn't about the park. This is about profiling. What the officer doesn't know is that the man sitting on that bench, the father he just told to leave, is a state senator. And the conversation that follows is about to change that officer's entire career. The body camera begins recording as Officer Daniel Grayson steps away from his patrol car and walks toward the playground. Children are laughing on the swings. Parents are chatting on benches. Birds chirp in the trees. It looks like any normal afternoon. But the moment Grayson reaches the bench, the tension begins. You the kid's father? The officer asks. Yes, the man replies calmly. How long you been here? About 20 minutes? The officer nods slowly. I got a complaint. About what? He points toward the playground. About him. The father looks over. His son is sliding down the slide and running back toward the climbing bars, laughing with 2 other kids. He's just playing, the father says. The officer sighs. That's what the complaints say too. What complaints? Families here say he's been hanging around too long. The father stares at him. This is a playground. Yes. But this isn't really a place for him to linger. The father leans forward slightly. I'm sorry? What? You should probably wrap it up and go somewhere else. The father frowns. Why exactly would we leave? The officer shrugs casually. There are other places you people can go. He pauses, then adds under his breath. Maybe KFC. The father freezes. The words sink in. Then he stands up slowly. You just said KFC? The officer shrugs again. The father's voice sharpens. What are you trying to say? That we should go get some chicken or something? A couple sitting nearby looks up immediately. The officer crosses his arms. Don't start twisting my words. The father shakes his head. You brought it up. I was making a suggestion. No, the father replies firmly. You were making a stereotype. Before the officer can answer, the boy runs over. Dad, did you see me climb the... He stops when he sees the officer. His smile fades. The officer looks down at him. How long you been here, kid? The father steps forward slightly. You don't need to question him. But the officer ignores that. You been bothering the other kids? The boy shakes his head quickly. No, sir. You making people uncomfortable? No. The boy looks up at his dad, confused. Dad, did I do something wrong? The father kneels beside him. No, buddy. You didn't do anything wrong. But the officer mutters again. That's not what the complaints say. The boy's voice gets smaller. Dad, I just want to play with the other kids. His eyes start watering. I wasn't bothering anybody. The father puts a hand on his shoulder. I know. The officer sighs loudly. Look, this park is for families. The father stands again. We are a family. The officer shakes his head. Not the kind people here are comfortable with. Several people nearby start whispering. A man raises his phone and begins recording. The father notices. So does the officer. But Grayson keeps going. This isn't really the place for your kind. The father stares at him. My kind. You heard me. The boy grips his dad's hand tightly. Dad, I don't want to leave. His voice cracks. I just want to play. The father looks down at his son, then back at the officer. You're telling a 7-year-old he can't play at a public park. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Before we dive any further, comment below which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this documentary travels. Because what's happening in this park right now isn't just a misunderstanding. It's the moment a child's innocence collides with someone else's prejudice. And Officer Daniel Grayson still has no idea that the man he's humiliating in front of his own son is a state senator. And this confrontation is only just beginning. The silence hanging over the playground breaks slowly. Parents who were sitting quietly a moment ago are now whispering to each other. A few children stop playing. They can sense the tension. The little boy still holds tightly onto his father's hand. His eyes are red. His voice small. Dad, are we in trouble? The father shakes his head gently. No, buddy. You didn't do anything wrong. But Officer Grayson steps closer. His tone grows sharper. You heard what I said. It's time for you two to leave. The father doesn't move. This is a public park. And my son has every right to be here. Grayson scoffs. Yeah? Well, the families here don't see it that way. The father glances around. Several parents are watching. One woman near the sandbox speaks quietly. He's just a kid. But the officer ignores her. Instead, he gestures toward the park entrance. Pack it up. We're done here. The boy's voice trembles. But I just got here. He points weakly toward the swings. I wanted to try the big swing. Tears start forming in his eyes. I didn't even get a turn. The father's jaw tightens. He's 7 years old. Grayson shrugs. Then maybe you should take him somewhere more appropriate. The father stares at him. Appropriate? The officer nods slowly. You know, places where your people usually hang out. Several people in the park gasp quietly. A woman filming whispers. Did he really just say that? The father steps forward. You're saying my son doesn't belong here. Grayson crosses his arms. I'm saying people called. And when people call about someone like him lingering around their kids, he pauses deliberately. I take it seriously. The father's voice grows colder. Someone like him? Grayson looks down at the boy again. You heard me. The boy wipes his eyes. He looks around at the playground. The slide. The swings. The monkey bars. Other kids still playing. His voice cracks. Dad, why does he want us to leave? The father kneels again. You didn't do anything wrong. But he said I don't belong here. The words hit harder than anything else. The boy begins to cry now. Soft at first, then louder. I just wanted to play. The father wraps an arm around him. It's okay. But Grayson steps forward again, clearly irritated. Look, I'm not going to argue with you all day. He places a hand on his belt. You and the kid need to leave. The father stands again. You're ordering us to leave a public park. That's correct. And under what law? Grayson smirks. Don't start getting smart with me. I asked you a question. The officer's tone grows hostile. You're causing a disturbance now. A disturbance? The father repeats. You came over here. You started this. Several parents nearby nod quietly. One man speaks up. He's right. The kid wasn't bothering anyone. Grayson turns toward the crowd. Mind your business. Another parent raises their phone higher. This is our business now. The officer's jaw tightens. He turns back toward the father. You see what you're doing? You're making people uncomfortable. The father gestures toward the crying boy. My son is crying because you told him he doesn't belong. That's what happens when your kind pushes where they shouldn't. The father's eyes narrow. My kind again? You keep saying that. Grayson leans closer. Because it keeps being true. The boy tugs on his father's sleeve. Dad, can we just go? His voice shakes. I don't want him to yell at us anymore. The father looks down at him. Pain flashes across his face. Because the playground that felt safe 10 minutes ago now feels hostile. The officer points toward the exit again. See? Even the kid knows it's time to go. The father slowly straightens. His voice calm, but firm. No. The officer blinks. What? We're not leaving. Grayson's face darkens immediately. That wasn't a suggestion. I know. It was an order. The father folds his arms. And I'm refusing it. Now the tension jumps at another level. Phones are raised everywhere. Several people are recording. One woman whispers. This is going to go viral. Grayson notices. His voice gets louder. You're refusing a lawful order. No, the father replies calmly. I'm refusing an unlawful one. The officer steps even closer now. You think you're smarter than me? No, I just know my rights. Grayson laughs harshly. People like you always say that. The father shakes his head slowly. No. People like you assume we don't have them. The officer's hand moves toward his radio. Dispatch. I've got a non-compliant individual refusing to leave Riverside Park. The father watches him quietly. The boy clutches his arm tighter. Dad, are they going to arrest you? The father kneels slightly again. No. But he's mad. I know. The officer finishes his radio call, then looks back at them. You're about to learn something today. And what's that? The father asks. Grayson leans forward slightly. That when an officer tells you to leave, you leave. The father stands fully now. The calm in his voice makes the entire park go silent again. No. You're about to learn something. Grayson frowns. And what's that? The father pauses. Looks around at the cameras recording. The parents watching. His son wiping tears from his face. Then he speaks. Slowly. Clearly. You picked the wrong father to bully today. The officer scoffs. Yeah? You think you're somebody special? The father's expression doesn't change. I don't think. I know. Grayson shakes his head. You're just another guy causing problems. The father reaches into his jacket pocket, pulls out a small leather wallet, opens it, and holds it up. Not aggressively. Just enough for the officer to see. A government identification card, with a gold seal. The officer squints slightly, trying to read it. But before he fully processes what he's looking at, the father says something that changes the entire atmosphere in the park. I'm Senator Marcus Whitaker. And you just told my 7-year-old son he doesn't belong in his own state's public park. The playground goes completely silent. And Officer Daniel Grayson suddenly realizes this situation just became much bigger than he expected. The silence that follows is immediate, heavy, the kind of silence that spreads through a crowd when everyone realizes something just changed. Officer Grayson stares at the identification card for a moment longer than expected. His eyes scan the seal, the official insignia, the name printed clearly across the top. Marcus Whitaker, State Senator. The officer blinks once, then again. For a brief moment, the confidence that filled his voice only seconds earlier disappears. But pride pushes him forward. He scoffs quietly. Yeah, right. The father lowers the ID slowly but doesn't put it away. You can read it again if you'd like. Grayson shakes his head. People carry fake IDs all the time. A murmur spreads through the crowd. Someone whispers. He's still arguing? Another parent mutters. This officer just doesn't know when to stop. The senator's voice stays calm. You can call it in. Grayson folds his arms again. I don't need to. You're still causing a disturbance. The senator tilts his head slightly. A disturbance? You mean standing in a park with my son? The officer gestures around. Look at this. People recording. Crowds gathering. That's because of you, the senator replies. Grayson ignores that. You refused to leave when asked. You escalated the situation. I asked you under what law you were ordering us to leave. And you couldn't answer. A few people in the crowd nod again. Phones are still raised, recording everything. The officer notices the cameras, and suddenly his tone changes slightly. Less shouting, more controlled, but the irritation is still there. You think flashing some ID changes things? The senator meets his eyes. It changes everything. Grayson shakes his head. No, you're still just another guy refusing a lawful order. The senator exhales slowly. You never gave a lawful order. You gave a biased one. The officer's jaw tightens. Watch how you talk to me. No, the senator replies calmly. You watch how you talk to my child. He gestures toward the boy standing beside him, still wiping tears from his face, still holding his father's hand tightly. My son was playing. You approached him like he was a suspect. You told him he didn't belong. The crowd grows quieter again, because now the entire park is listening. The officer shifts slightly. He was making people uncomfortable. The senator looks around. Which people? Grayson hesitates. The families who called. Which families? They didn't give names. So you removed a child from a playground based on anonymous complaints. The officer says nothing. The senator continues. And you told us to go somewhere else. Maybe KFC. Several people in the crowd laugh in disbelief. Someone says loudly, "Oh, he definitely said that." Grayson looks toward the crowd. That's not what I meant. The senator raises an eyebrow. Then explain it. The officer hesitates again. For the first time since this confrontation started, he has no easy answer. The senator watches him carefully, then speaks again. Your body camera is recording, correct? Grayson instinctively touches the small device on his chest. The red light is blinking. Recording everything. The senator nods toward it. Good. Then he gestures toward the dozens of phones pointed at them. And so are they. Grayson glances around. The number of people recording has doubled. Some parents have stepped closer. Others are whispering. One man quietly says, "This is going everywhere." The officer's confidence begins to slip. You're trying to threaten me now? The senator shakes his head. No. I'm explaining reality. Grayson crosses his arms again. You're still refusing a police instruction. And you're still profiling a child. The officer looks down at the boy. For the first time he really seems to notice the tears, the trembling voice, the small hand gripping his father's sleeve. But instead of backing down, he doubles down. Well, maybe next time you should teach him where he belongs. A wave of shocked gasps spreads through the park. One mother immediately says, "That's unbelievable." Another person says that you're talking to a child. The senator's expression hardens. Say that again. Grayson shrugs. You heard me. The senator takes a slow breath, then reaches into his pocket again. But this time he doesn't pull out his ID. He pulls out his phone. The officer watches cautiously. What are you doing? The senator calmly scrolls through his contacts. Calling someone. Who? The senator lifts the phone to his ear, his voice steady. Yes. This is Senator Whitaker. A pause. Yes. I'm currently at Riverside Park. Another pause. The officer's expression changes slightly because he suddenly realizes. This might not be a bluff. The senator continues speaking. I need a supervisor sent immediately. He glances directly at Officer Grayson while saying the next words. And you might want internal affairs listening to this call as well. Grayson's shoulders stiffen. The crowd murmurs again. Phones are still recording. The senator ends the call calmly, puts the phone back in his pocket, then looks directly at the officer. Your supervisor is on the way. Grayson tries to recover his authority. You think calling people is going to scare me? No, the senator replies. I think accountability will. The officer looks around again. The cameras, the witnesses, the crying child, the father standing calm and unshaken. And suddenly the situation that felt simple minutes ago feels very different. The power has shifted. Completely. Because now the story isn't about a complaint or a kid lingering in the park. Now it's about something much bigger. A police officer, a crying 7-year-old, and a racist statement caught on camera. The senator kneels beside his son again. "You okay, buddy?" The boy nods slowly, still sniffling. "I just wanted to play." The senator gently wipes his face. "I know." Behind them, Officer Daniel Grayson stands very still, watching the blinking red light on his body camera, realizing every word he said, every comment about your kind, every suggestion about KFC, and every moment he told a child he didn't belong, is now recorded. And the people reviewing that footage soon are not going to be standing in a park. They're going to be sitting in offices, inside the police department, inside City Hall, and inside a courtroom. And if you're enjoying this documentary so far, like and subscribe, because what happens next doesn't just decide the officer's career. It decides whether accountability finally catches up with what happened in this park. The next sound that cuts through the quiet park is another police siren. Not loud, but close. Officer Daniel Grayson hears it before anyone else does. His shoulders stiffen slightly, because he knows exactly who that is. His supervisor. The patrol SUV turns slowly into the park entrance and rolls toward the gathering crowd. The flashing lights reflect across the playground equipment. Children who are still playing begin moving toward their parents. The vehicle stops. The driver's door opens. A tall officer steps out. Sergeant Laura Bennett. 20 years on the department. A reputation for being calm, but very serious when something goes wrong. Her eyes immediately scan the scene. The crowd. The phone's recording. The crying child. And Officer Grayson standing stiffly beside a man holding government identification. She already knows something is wrong. "Grayson," she calls. "What's going on here?" Grayson straightens slightly. "Just handling a complaint." Bennett looks around again. A complaint doesn't usually attract half a park and 20 cameras. Nobody laughs. The tension is too real. The senator steps forward calmly. "Sergeant." She turns toward him. "Yes?" "Marcus Whitaker." He shows the ID again. Her expression changes instantly. "Senator." Then she looks back at Grayson. Slowly. "What exactly happened here?" Grayson clears his throat. "I got a call about a kid making families uncomfortable. So I asked them to leave." Bennett looks toward the boy, still holding his father's hand. Eyes red. Face streaked with tears. "That kid?" "Yes, ma'am." The senator speaks quietly. "He told my son he doesn't belong here." A murmur spreads through the crowd again. Someone adds, "And he said they should go to KFC." Bennett turns back to Grayson slowly. "Did you say that?" Grayson hesitates. "That's not what I meant. That's not what I asked." The officer's silence answers the question. Bennett exhales slowly. Then she points toward the body camera on his chest. "That camera on?" "Yes." "Good." Then she gestures around. And it looks like half the park has their cameras on too. Several people nod. Phones still raised. The senator speaks again. "Sergeant, my son was playing." He approached him like a suspect. He questioned him. And then he told him he didn't belong here. Bennett nods once, then looks directly at Grayson. "Turn your camera footage over the moment we get back to the station." "Yes, ma'am." "And your report will include every word you said." Grayson swallows slightly. "Yes, ma'am." Bennett turns back toward the senator. "I'm very sorry this happened." The senator nods politely. "I appreciate that." But his voice remains calm and firm. "This isn't just about an apology." "I know." He gestures toward the crowd. "This was humiliating for my child. He was told he didn't belong in a public park." The boy looks up quietly, still holding his father's arm. "I just wanted to play." Bennett kneels down slightly beside him, her voice softer now. "You're allowed to play here. This park is for everyone. The boy nods slowly. The senator places a hand gently on his shoulder. Thank you, Sergeant. But the consequences are already starting. Within 24 hours, the videos recorded in the park are everywhere. Local news, national news, social media. Clips of Officer Grayson saying you were kind. Clips of the KFC comment. Clips of the crying child asking why he can't play. The story spreads fast. Because it's not just about a confrontation. It's about a 7-year-old boy being told he doesn't belong. The police department launches an internal investigation immediately. Internal Affairs reviews the body camera footage. Every second. Every word. There's no confusion about what happened. 3 weeks later, the results are announced. Officer Daniel Grayson is terminated from the police department. The official report lists multiple violations. Racial profiling. Conduct unbecoming of an officer. Abuse of authority. And discrimination against a minor. His 11-year career ends that day. But that isn't the end. The senator files a civil rights lawsuit against the city. The evidence is overwhelming. Body camera footage, witness statements, dozens of recorded videos from the park. 6 months later, the city settles the case. $2 million. But the settlement includes something more important. Mandatory bias training for the entire department. New policies requiring officers to verify complaints before confronting minors. And disciplinary oversight for situations involving children. The story becomes a national example. Training academies begin showing the footage. Not as entertainment, but as a warning. Because a single moment of bias, a single officer assuming a child didn't belong, ended a career, cost the city millions, and changed department policies permanently. For the boy, life slowly returns to normal. A few weeks after the incident, he returns to the same park. The swings. The slides. The climbing bars. This time, no one stops him. No one questions him. No one tells him he doesn't belong. His father sits on the same bench, watching quietly. Just like before. Because sometimes the biggest lessons don't come from speeches. They come from consequences. Officer Daniel Grayson lost his badge, lost his career, and became a national example of how prejudice can destroy everything. But the most important lesson belongs to the people who watched it happen. A playground is supposed to be the safest place for a child. And the moment someone tells a 7-year-old he doesn't belong, it stops being just a playground. It becomes a test of who we are as a society. So here's the question. If you were standing in that park, watching a child being told he didn't belong, would you have stayed silent? Or would you have spoken up? Tell us in the comments section below. The end.